IELTS listening section seems difficult for some students, but using some strategies and some special tips and tricks, you can improve your score. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through some strategies that will help you a lot. Hello dear friends, I'm Nargiz, and in this video, we're going to talk about IELTS listening section. But before you start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Well, probably you have heard a lot about different strategies, different tips and tricks, that you have to listen to some videos, you have to change the speed of your video, you have to practice a lot, you have to, watch some movies and so on. But today we're going to talk about a little bit different ones. And if you want to know more, watch this video till the end and be informed about these strategies. So the first one is elimination. Elimination is when they use some words like conjunctions or not particles to eliminate some answers. Usually they use but conjunction nowadays, and sometimes they use some alternatives of but, like although, even though, in spite of, despite, or some transition signals which will also eliminate your answers, like however. Sometimes they use these conjunctions or transition signals just to make a bridge between correct and incorrect answers. But again, if you understand them, you will find answers easily. So the first one, as I've said, eliminations, it's but and not particle. They will say one answer and then eliminate this answer. Of course, this elimination works mostly with multiple choice tests. Let's look at some tests taken from IELTS Cambridge books to understand this better. So the first one, Dartfield House School used to be A tourist information center, B, a private house, C, a local council building. Now let's listen to the recording.
Good morning, and thank you for coming here today. I'd like to bring you up to date with changes in the school that will affect your children. As you know, the school buildings date from various times, some from the 1970s, some from the last 5 years, and of course, Dartfield House is over a century old. It was commissioned by a businessman, Neville Richard, and intended as his family home, but he died before it was completed. His heir chose to sell it to the local council, who turned it into offices. A later plan to convert it into a tourist information centre didn't come about through lack of money, and instead it formed the nucleus of this school when it opened 40 years ago.
Firstly, they said that the building was intended to be a private house. It was built by a businessman, but they eliminate this answer. He died, and so it was sold to a local council. So obviously the answer is C. But to be sure that the answer is not A, listen till the end. And they say that a later plan to convert this into tourist information center didn't come about. So here they use not particle, didn't, and they weaken option A. So obviously the answer is C. Here you can see that how elimination can help you to find the correct answer. Let's listen to the next one.
A more imminent change concerns the catering facilities and the canteen. The canteen is always very busy throughout the lunch period. In fact, it's often full to capacity because a lot of our pupils like the food that's on offer there. But there's only one serving point, so most pupils have to wait a considerable time to be served. This is obviously unsatisfactory, as they may have hardly finished their lunch before afternoon lessons start.
So here obviously the answer is A, long queuing times, but we can see that they want to distract us with the word unsatisfactory, so we can mistakenly choose the answer C, dissatisfaction. But also they mention something about lessons to make us mistakenly choose the answer with timetable. Here you should have strong paraphrasing skills as well. Besides elimination, we should also have strong paraphrasing skills, and this is our second strategy. We should be able to understand all answers in the recording according to our paraphrasing skills. You have to practice a lot with some listening tests or other tests taken from other books to improve your skills. Let's look at the next one, which will help us understand why paraphrasing is really very important. So here we have, Luke read that one reason why we don't forget dreams is that we don't have enough memory. B, we can confuse the reality and our dream. C, we don't consider them important. Why do you think I have paraphrased all the answers? Because I want to focus on the main point, not on the keywords, but on the main meaning of all answers to understand, to catch the answers from the paraphrased recordings. Now let's listen to the recording and find the answer.
So, Luke, for our next psychology assignment, we have to do something on sleep and dreams.
Right. I've just read an article suggesting why we tend to forget most of our dreams soon after we wake up. I mean, most of my dreams aren't that interesting anyway. But what it said was that if we remembered everything, we might get mixed up about what actually happened and what we dreamed. So it's a sort of protection. I hadn't heard that idea before. I'd always assumed that it was just that we didn't have room in our memories for all that stuff.
Well, as you see, firstly he says that he doesn't consider his dreams important. And next he says that but, so here they use elimination, but, like he shows that the first answer that he said, that he didn't consider them important, is just his opinion, but in reality we may confuse the reality and the dreams. And now let's look at the next strategy. It's when we have to find on which point both students agreed. You have to be very careful with such tests as well. Well, let's listen. Here we have the test. In their assignment, both students had problems with statistical analysis, making an action plan, and self-assessment.
Anyway, let's think about our assignment. Last time I had problems with the final stage, where we had to describe and justify how successful we thought we'd been. I struggled a bit with the action plan too.
I was okay with the planning, but I got marked down for the self-assessment as well. And I had big problems with the statistical stuff. That's where I really lost marks.
Right.
So here we see that Luke says, I had some problems when we had to describe and justify how successful we thought we'd been. So probably self-assessment. Here we should use our paraphrasing skills, how successful we had been. And we should also be careful on which point both students agreed. Luke says that it was difficult to him. And I see here self-assessment, but I have to listen to the other side as well. And then he adds, I struggled a bit with the action plan too. So he struggled with two things, action plan and how successful he was. Again, they use the word action plan to confuse you so that you mistakenly choose B. But you listen to the Susie, she says, I was okay with the planning, so she didn't have problems with the planning, and that's why. So she didn't have the problems with planning, and that's why the answer with making a plan is not right. But what is right is self-assessment, because she says, but I got marked down for the self-assessment as well. So she says as well to show that I also had difficulties with self-assessment. She says the word self-assessment and as well, which just confirms that she had the same problems like he had. So the answer is C. Let's look at our next test where we don't have multiple choice, we have just fill in the gaps. Here we have to understand what should we write in the gap. Now let's look at the test. Here we see that it's about health benefits of dance. And firstly, it's all about recent findings. So they give some information about recent findings, and the third sentence we have to find, they say that an experiment on university students suggested that dance increases. Now let's listen to the recording to understand it.
Dancing is something that humans do when they want to have a good time. It's a universal response to music found in all cultures. But what's only been discovered recently is that dancing not only makes us feel good, it's also extremely good for our health. Dancing, like other forms of exercise, releases hormones, such as dopamine, which make us feel relaxed and happy. And it also reduces feelings of stress or anxiety. Dancing is also a sociable activity, which is another reason it makes us feel good. One study compared people's enjoyment of dancing at home in front of a video with dancing in a group in a studio. The people dancing in a group reported feeling happier, whereas those dancing alone did not. In another experiment, university researchers at York and Sheffield took a group of students and sent each of them into a lab where music was played for 5 minutes. Each had to choose from 3 options: to sit and listen quietly to the music, to cycle on an exercise bike while they listened, or to get up and dance. All were given cognitive tasks to perform before and after. The results showed that those who chose to dance showed much more creativity when doing problem-solving tasks.
So now you can see that firstly they talk about dance, and then they say a group of students, so they start talking about what experiment they did, and lastly we see those who chose to dance showed much more creativity. So we don't have the word increase, instead we have the word much more. Much more shows that something increased, and here again you should use your strong paraphrasing skills to understand the answer. You should also use the force strategy, especially it works for fill in the gaps. You have to be able to define which word is needed. This is very important, like what type of a verb is needed. Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? And so on. So here we have, look at this test. For those with mental illness, dance could be used as a form of, as a form of what? It can be used as a form of what? Let's listen to the recording and try to find the answer.
Dr. Lovett at the University of Hertfordshire believes dance could be a very useful way to help people suffering from mental health problems. He thinks dance should be prescribed as therapy to help people overcome issues such as depression.
Here they talk about mental illness, mental problems, and then they say that dance should be prescribed as therapy. So again, formal should be prescribed. We don't have the word formal, but we have it should be prescribed as therapy. And it's all about mental illnesses. Now let's look at the next one to understand it even better. Better something reduces the risk of accident. Obviously, here we should use a noun. Let's listen to the recording.
Dance can be especially beneficial for older adults who can't run or do more intense workouts, or for those who don't want to. One 2015 study found that even a gentle dance workout helps to promote a healthy heart. And there's plenty of evidence which suggests that dancing lowers the risk of falls, which could result in a broken hip, for example, by helping people to improve their balance.
Here we see that dancing reduces the risks of falls, accidents, and so on, and by helping people to improve their balance. Instead of better, they use to improve. Of course, here you also use your strong paraphrasing skills. You use your ability to find the type of the word, form of the word needed, and here you can catch the main words according to its meaning from the recording. And the last point that you should pay attention more is your motivation. You should be really motivated when starting doing your IELTS listening test. Many students easily get 8+ or 8.5+ from the listening, and you can also do. If you see that you understand all words in the recording, you understand all the conversations and monologues, it means that you are very good at the listening. Well, I hope that this video helps you. If you want to know more about IELTS, subscribe to the channel.